There's more people who are losing jobs, unfortunately. Having this skill gap, like I said, creates a safe career path, really. Some offer online courses, which we don't like the sound of at all. We don't do any online courses.
Why is that?
We try and tell people, like, really think about, okay, it might sound great that you can learn a trade online, or they have like blended learning where it's like half of it's online. You're at the peril of the training provider of the actual quality of content that they're providing you online.
And a sentence or two. Why should people care about this conversation?
I think people should care about this conversation because the industry as a whole, the gas industry, as well as the wider trades, businesses, it's a competition at the end of the day. And upskilling yourself gives you more services that you can offer.
This is the Gas Engineer Podcast. I'm your host, Tulloch Priest, and today I'm joined by Harry Budd, who works at Logic4Training, one of UK's leading training providers for gas, plumbing, electrical, and renewable courses. Welcome to the show, Harry.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Today we're talking about training, upskilling, and future-proofing in the gas trade. This includes exploring the gap between training and the day-to-day work, as well as when and how you might consider upskilling in an ever-changing industry. As always, if you enjoy these conversations, then please like and subscribe to support the podcast. What do you mean by upskilling? Like, let's say you're a gas engineer, you've been doing it for 20 years. How would you actually upskill, and what would be the benefits of it?
Yeah, so upskilling for a gas engineer would be, say, if you've completed your CCM1, your sort of initial ACS qualification, it's then, you're legally allowed to work on certain appliances within the gas. So if it's somewhat, it's your boiler, but you won't be able to work on, say, cookers or fires for 12 months after. So once you've got some experience, you can come back, you can upskill to train on those domestic appliances. But essentially, you can then upskill even further into like the commercial sector, if that's commercial heating, laundry, catering. But then you can also upskill into renewables like heat pumps. And it doesn't have to be in any particular order. Once you've sort of got your initial CCM1, it really depends on what you as a business, if you're a sole trader or as an employee, actually want to, your company wants you to sort of specialise in.
There's quite a bit of talk about renewables, heat pumps, etc. I don't know quite how to phrase it, but like what's the time commitment if you were thinking about possibly upskilling into heat pumps?
So a heat pump course, you can get them as little as 3 days, which some might look and go, well, that's not a lot. But a lot of actual manufacturers provide courses on their specific heat pumps. So you can actually go to the heat pump manufacturers and have a specific specialised course on that heat pump.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you know that that's what you're going to work with, that certain brand, it's probably, once you become qualified through like a course like we offer, it's actually...
So they need to be qualified with you first, or a similar provider, and then they can go to the manufacturers.
Yeah, that's right.
Is there a big overlap between the two courses?
I think the course that the manufacturer provides probably goes more into like the sort of the components like within the heat pumps. Like different manufacturers will produce slightly different ways of doing.
Okay, so more sort of specific to that particular manufacturer.
Yeah, where our sort of course will be more about the theory behind it, like how heat pumps work, how you would then install it, what changes you may need to make depending on the property or the system that has been in there before.
Okay, so you can give more of a kind of a general kind of advice or guidance, etc. Yeah. From your time at Logic4Training, how's the training kind of changed over time?
Well, I think where we've been operating for 23 years now, I think. Obviously, the industry evolves. There's new regulations that come out, so we want to make sure that obviously our learners are aware of those regulations, that we cover them extensively. But also, newer technologies have come about. So stuff like your product, if we can integrate some of that into our training, it makes it easier for engineers to actually carry out their jobs, more so on the admin side, but then that allows them sort of to really focus in on the actual day-to-day stuff that they will be doing with their hands, like the practical stuff.
Hi, producer Alex here, wondering if you knew that you aren't subscribed to the channel. Well, specifically, 93% of you are not subscribed, and we really appreciate you tuning in right now, but you're missing out on even more interesting content. You're already this far into the episode, so why not subscribe to the Gas Engineer Software YouTube channel? Because showing your support genuinely makes a difference. It's free, takes a second to click, and helps us continue to make the content that you want to listen to. Speaking of, let's get back to it.
So would you say that your courses cover more, like not just the actual how to actually do it, but it's starting to cover a little bit more about not running a business, but just kind of, other things that kind of come into play as well?
Yeah. So we obviously do, the main bulk of it is the hands-on practical training, but we do provide resources for and guidance for our learners of how to set up a business if that's what they want to do. Well, it's like the marketing side, social media, so that if they do decide to go down the self-employed route, there is something there that they're not just sort of left there like, oh great, I'm qualified, but what do I do now? Like how
do I get my first job, or etc.
Yeah. So we do try and over the years developed more and more content that people can take in to sort of help them progress. I think starting off their career is probably the hardest step once you become qualified, unless you're going self-employed. Unless you're going employed, you're kind of left there, or previously they might have been left there like, oh, what do I do?
Do you have a kind of recommendation, or like which route do you see that students are more successful if they go into like employed first for like a period of time, or kind of straight into self-employed?
Yeah, I personally, I think that becoming employed first after qualification is probably the best thing to do, mainly because you're then there, you may be working with someone else who has years of experience, and whilst our trainers have many years of industry experience, it's not maybe specific to that company.
Plus, there's a limited amount you can actually know without,
Yeah,
within the time frame of the course.
Yeah, so being able to gain some real world experience before you can then have the conversation with yourself. Okay, right, now is it now the right time to go self-employed? Yeah, I think that's probably the best way forward. However, it's not to say that that's the only way. If you do want to go, if you are someone who's fairly confident and you are competent at what you do, you definitely can come self-employed after qualifying.
There's often a perception that training ends after your ACS. Why is it additional learning now more essential than ever before?
Oh, I think like how I touched upon at the beginning is that businesses, it's a competition at the end of the day, and upskilling yourself gives you more services that you can offer. Yeah, it also breaks up what you actually want to do day to day. And I can imagine that I've done a year as a gas engineer's not apprentice, but sort of workmate. I can imagine that after 5, 10, however many years, it can get a little bit repetitive. You're doing the same thing. So upskilling also offers you as a person something new and exciting to go into. But ultimately, you are able to expand your services and provide more for new and potentially sort of current customers.
Let's kind of talk about a skills gap between what training centres teach and the real world. What are your kind of thoughts, or what is the skills gap?
Yeah, so the skills gap, I don't necessarily think there's a skills gap between training providers and colleges and then the real world. There's obviously, it's hard to train anyone, doesn't matter what industry. The training and what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, it's always going to be different. So we try and provide real world scenarios that people can actually learn, but also make mistakes, so that when they go out into the real world, they have that experience to then fall back on and be like, okay, right, well, I was with the trainer, I made this mistake, but this is how you rectify it, instead of having like some other types of courses where they might have bigger classes, so you have less contact time with the trainer and you don't actually get to rectify the mistake. But coming back to the skills gap, the skills gap is generally more, there's less people coming into the trades than to meet the demands of what, say, the government want or companies want. There's a company called On the Tools. So last year they done this massive 100+ page paper looking into the skills gap, and essentially To very, very briefly summarize it, it's
Some 100 pages.
yeah, it's a big ask, but essentially it comes down to there's not enough promotion of the trades at any age. Predominantly, my opinion, the best way is to go to schools to promote the trades, that this is a viable career path.
How would you promote it?
Yeah, it's hard, obviously, because schools will ideally want people to go through the academic career path and go to university. But personally, I think if you're looking at the current state of employment, there's more people who are losing jobs, unfortunately. So competition for the traditional desk type jobs is more competitive. Where a trade, where there is a skill gap, there's a huge opportunity to actually then be in a career that's actually quite prosperous.
Yeah, I think with AI as a gas engineer, you were pretty safe. It's very unlikely that AI is going to come and take your job.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So we're quite heavy. We've quite heavily pushed AI recently, and how the trades are actually quite safe from it. I looked into it, and not to be all doom and gloom, but I think 2027 could be a year where sort of AI reaches the level of super intelligence, and unfortunately there will probably be more job losses. But having this skill gap, like I said, creates a safe career path, really. Not only because there is that gap, but also AI can't squeeze into a tight space to fix something, or go into a loft and be crammed up there trying to do some work. So I do think, becoming a gas engineer or just any tradesperson is probably quite a good career choice.
Why do you think less people are choosing it? Is it because they're not aware of the actual trade itself, or is it how it's portrayed, or where do you think the challenge is?
Yeah, I think those 2 points are probably the two main ones. I think the perception of it is, you're getting to get your hands dirty, you might not want to do it. I think especially with the development of the internet, especially younger people see, there's this YouTuber, or there's streaming, or there's other, they can, I don't know, they could day trade if they really wanted to, if they had the capital there to in the first place.
But those careers you mentioned, it's a bit like a singer, like the top
Yes.
0.001 do really well, and then the other
struggle.
Yeah,
it's not for everyone. I think you have to be you have to be very lucky, I think, to sort of make it, like if you want to be a sports personnel.
It's a similar kind of
So
success rate.
I think there's how it's portrayed, but also going back to sort of the school roots, it isn't really spoken enough from an earlier age, so that people actually fully understand what being a gas engineer consists of, or what being a plumber or electrician consists of. And I think you'll find that maybe people who aren't as academically focused at school, that could be a good option for them. Or if you just prefer working with your hands, I quite liked DT at school, but that it kind of stops at DT.
What do you mean by DT?
Sorry, so like design technology.
Okay.
So
was that hands-on, or was that more on the drawing side?
So more hands-on, more like it's predominantly woodwork, but if I feel that's a good way that curriculum could be developed. They could expand on DT to then incorporate some of the trades within that at a very basic level, just so that younger kids are safe.
So just kind of like a hint of, try this. You might like it too.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of a little bit of a taste. Yeah, because you don't really hear about the trades being promoted as a viable option.
No. I think there's many other careers that people go, all right, this is what you should. Some people you should be doing, or you might want to do. But I know people within the trades industry who are doing perfectly well for themselves and actually enjoy their job.
Definitely. Well, I think as a sole trader or owning a heating and plumbing company, there's really a lot of good. Obviously there's a little bit of stress. There's a learning curve. There's other bits, but there is some really good things as well.
Yeah. There are, like I say, some downsides too.
It's a trade-off, like all things.
Exactly. So. And that's ultimately what people they need the knowledge in the first place to be able to decide, is this the right career?
It's the right choice for you. Fine. What's your advice for engineers deciding when and where to invest in new qualifications?
Yeah, it's a good question. If you're you can split it into sort of two groups. If you're a new entrant, obviously looking to...
Like, are you talking about school leading or more like
Sorry.
changing career? Or?
Yeah, like sort of changing career, maybe sort of, I don't know, 20 plus. Let's say. You probably want to research the three main careers. You want plumbing, gas, electrics. See which one interests you the most, but then also look at what training providers offer. Yeah, so some might be weekday courses, some might be weekend courses, some offer online courses, which we don't like the sound of at all. We don't do any online courses.
Why is that?
So there's a lot of risks associated with online training, but specifically with the trades. You're doing a hands-on, or you're training for a hands-on career.
You get a bit online via video, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
We always say to people, if you had two engineers turn up at your house, one learnt online and one learnt in a training centre.
Do you want to explain what your training centre is? Because you have the boilers on the wall, you've got the everything there, so you're actually doing it for real.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So we have...
And you've got gas as well, I understand.
Yes, so we obviously have our classrooms where towards the start of the course, people would mainly be in the classrooms learning like the underpinning theories as to what they're actually going to be doing. But yeah, then we also have our workshops, which there's numerous amounts of boilers, if it's in the gas sort of sector, that people will work on, do tightness tests, flue rigs, so you understand what to do with the flues. They'll do some boiler fault finding, the commissioning process, pipe work process, calculating pipe sizes. We go through everything that you would sort of need as a gas engineer.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can't really learn that stuff online, and that's what unfortunately there are training providers that do push the online sort of side, and I think because of COVID, where people didn't have access to that, more of these types of courses came up. We try and tell people, like, really think about, okay, it might sound great that you can learn a trade online, or they have like blended learning where it's like half of it's online and you can learn from home, which again sounds good, but half of it will be in centre. But yeah, you're at the peril of the training provider of the actual quality of content that they're providing you online. And if you then, when looking at what training provider to use, if you generally look at their negative reviews, a lot of the negative reviews for these training providers are about the quality of online course content.
Okay, so it's kind of challenging with that format.
Yeah, it's you're never gonna replicate actually being there doing it, and to have a seasoned expert right next to you that can tell if you're struggling with something, they're there on hand to help you actually correct things.
To kind of ask those questions.
Yeah.
Over time, what kind of trends are you seeing? Are there more people kind of going to renewables and to gas, electric? What kind of patterns do you see?
So specifically with reassessment, so for the experienced gas engineers, with the sort of sticking with COVID, where there was...
for the gas engineers, is there a larger number of new entrants, or is that kind of staying level, or is it going up or down?
We're sort of seeing more people, they enter as a plumber. They would do a plumbing qualification first and then move on to gas.
Okay, so they're plumbing and then they move, yeah.
Yeah, that way then they've got both aspects that they learn.
Do they learn it straight away, or do they they do plumbing and then they do real well for a while and then come back? Or?
Yeah, so they would do the plumbing, they could do a plumbing diploma first, then depending on what training package that they have, they can go then to gas, or they can do their plumbing MVQ, which then obviously incorporates real world work, which then they have to document.
So you got a portfolio, yeah, okay, yeah. Fine. So it's similar to the gas then?
Yeah, it's very, very similar. It's almost like it's just sort of split into two instead of the gas, which is all one, where they would do the training and then straight into the portfolio, which is sort of included in that training course.
I see.
But yeah, we've probably seen more people take up the plumbing, because you can do the gas by itself. You don't have to do the plumbing.
Yeah. There's
two sort of routes for the gas. There's like a new entrant route, completely no experience, and then there's an experienced trades route. So this is geared to more like plumbers or kitchen fitters who have sort of transferable skills, and they would have to come in and actually prove that they can do what they say that they can do.
Yeah.
With our set exam.
Okay. Are you fed up with drowning in a pile of paperwork that comes with running your heating and plumbing business? Gas Engineer Software is an easy-to-use, all-in-one job management system made especially for UK heating and plumbing companies. From handling customer details to building quotes, issuing certificates and sending invoices, Gas Engineer software will help you save time, eliminate paperwork, and make running your business easy. Start a free trial by clicking in the link in the bio.
But yeah, I think more people on the new entrant side do the plumbing first. On the experienced side, with COVID, where everything had to shut.
Yeah.
It's 5 years ago, and obviously ACS qualifications have to be reassessed every 5 years. So there is sort of a rush.
Okay, so there's a bit of a bulk there.
Yeah, which isn't a bad thing for us as a provider. But that also applies to other. If it's an engineer that already holds commercial qualifications, they would also be coming in to reassess those depending on when things line up of when they've done their qualifications. I think heat pumps is sort of a steady incline.
So is it slowly increasing? Because I know the government's quite keen about it. There's a lot of talk about it, but there doesn't seem to be, like when you actually look at the ground about how many are installed, etc.
Yeah, this comes back to the skill gap sort of issue. Yeah, the government want one thing, and it's having the engineers there to do it in the first place. There is an uptake in heat pumps, but not. I don't think it's to the same or to the level that people probably thought it would be.
But I think also for the general public, I don't know, the impression is that, if you have an older house that might not be suitable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there are some challenges. So I think it's more than just lack of engineers.
The whole retrofitting sort of scene is tricky
and expensive and
I know that the government are coming out with ways like the boiler upgrade scheme or start at home schemes so that people can get heat pumps for cheaper prices.
Yeah.
But if your house isn't designed for it, or it's not to the level that it needs to be, it can be expensive to then go and do all this work to get it to that level. So as a customer, I completely understand why they'd go, well, I could just stick with a boiler, get a new boiler, and it will still be cheaper. I understand why.
Yeah, and then less risk as well.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a Victorian or something like that.
It's going to be a pretty hefty payout.
Yeah, so fine. In your view, what are the most important qualities or mindsets beyond, like technical knowledge where engineers kind of thrive in the business in the trades?
I think probably the most important one is being calm. Obviously there are some risks to working as a gas engineer or plumber or any of the trades. So being calm is probably.
Are you talking about like physical risks or what kind of risks?
Yeah, physical risks
or running a business.
There's two sides of it. We haven't really touched on the business side too much, but there can be a lot of admin processes that people they don't necessarily think about when they
they signed up to be a gas engineer. They didn't sign up to be an admin person.
Yeah. But again, that's where like your guys' product can really sort of help people take away that burden and allow them to focus on what they actually want to do. But if they can remain calm, and I guess another one would be forward thinking about planning. They can really then give themselves time to work on what they actually want to do with the jobs that they get. If you're all over the place and you've got, I've got Sam calling me up wanting to do this day, and then Jim wants to do the same time, and you're not prepared for it, it can be then a bit overwhelming. So being calm, make sure that you're planning everything that you're sort of wanting to do.
Yeah, so just that organisation.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. Really appreciate your insights, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.